Hey, it's Mike with Tech PB. We got a really cool show planned today. We're going to install the brand new Tadao Yakuza OLED board into the Karnivor. Now, as I'm taking this Karnivor out of the box, I have a lot of experience with this gun. As a matter of fact, the first Karnivor I bought, if you guys remember the first Tech PB award that we put out with the video from the Tauntauns, and if you look in the background at the 2004 MPPL, you'll see a WGP truck. I mean, I haven't really seen a WGP truck in a long time. But, you know, Bud Orr was there, and I bought a Karnivor back then, summertime of 2004. And actually, they had a special at the time that if you bought the Karnivor, which I think at the time was like $1,200, you got a full canter barrel system. So I had the Pro Edition back then, the black and green one, and used it for a little while. It was a fun gun to play with and stuff like that. I tried to use it at World Cup just because I really liked it, and for semi-auto it didn't work out very well. I mean, it's a good gun, but you know, I was shooting a Karnivor, they were shooting aliases back at me, and I just went and bought another alias. But I had it for quite a while, I ended up selling it, needed money. But I'm going to tell you about the Karnivor is that there's not a lot of guns right now on the market that are soon to be classic markers. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's not a lot of guns on the market right now that are either going to A, hold their value, or B, become collector's items in the future. There's a couple, you know, there's definitely a couple, but the Karnivor, in my opinion, is one of the guns that once they run out of the brand new ones is going to be worth quite a bit in the future. The reason why is it's very intricately milled. It's almost like the Ripper of autocockers. It's got something that not a lot of other autocockers have, or I don't think any of them actually have, is there's no external cocking rod. The cocking rod actually threads into the back block. It's got this gorgeous two-tone finish. You've got some parts are kind of glossy, some parts are bead blasted, some parts are kind of ridged. Just a really cool looking autococker. And if you get one of these, the first thing I would recommend you do, if you're actually going to use it but you still want to preserve it, is one, replace the detent. Okay, the reason why is, I mean, this is as soon as you get it, just go and buy a new detent. This detent, it will wear out, you will end up shooting out the ball bearing, but you're only going to be able, this is the only one you're going to be able to find in this color that matches your gun. So you're better off putting this back in the box and just putting a silver one on there, and then if you decide you want to preserve it, or you want to, you know, kind of mothball it and put it away, you can put the original detent back on there, and you're not going to have like a black detent or a silver detent on there. It'll actually match. So that's just something that, you know, if you are actually going to use it but you still want to preserve it, just remove the detent, put a new one on there, keep the detent in the box, and you know, that way you always have the original detent and it still is functional. It's very important. There's a lot of, when you first get these guns, there's a lot of you know, motivation to start hacking these up, turning them into mechanical guns, turning them into pump guns, putting MQ valves in there, all sorts of stuff like that. If you really want to be a purist, you can leave it just like this, and it'll shoot just fine. You know, it's a semi-auto only board. This is the E1 board. They also have the E2 zero bounce board, but this is just the E1 board. But, you know, I just kind of wanted to go off on a little bit of a tangent about, you know, one, how beautiful these guns are. I mean, these guns are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they've got good weight to it. They shoot nice. You know, I think one of the problems I had with mine was I actually turned the LPR pressure up a little too high and ended up snapping this off of the back block. The pump rod actually popped off the back block and broke it. I ended up having to get new pieces for it. But that's about the only problem I actually ever had with mine when I owned it. Other than the fact that in semi-auto, I couldn't get the gun shooting that fast, and being with no bounce. It's very easy with these guns. If you just really slowly pull the trigger, they'll shoot off 2 or 3 shots, and you have to up the filters, which is a pain in the ass. But, you know, I do want to say that if you are looking for a gun that's going to be worth a lot in the future, buy yourself a Karnivor, or even buy yourself 2 of them. I think Who's Gonna First Call Paintball has them right now for $400 for the E1 board. I think it's $500 for the E2 board. You know, buy it, put it in the box, leave it aside, or buy one. If you want to do a project one, buy one, mess with that one, buy the other one, put it in the box. These are going to be worth a lot of money. They're probably going to be up there with the Nexus DC1, DC2 guns when you can no longer find them. I guarantee you they'll be up there $700, $800, $900 for guns that look like this that are brand new in the box. So, with that said about the Karnivor, we do have the Tadao Yakuza board. Now, I'm really proud of Will because he's cranking out some stuff. He's kind of going against the grain a little bit. It's a lot of the board manufacturers are kind of looking forward, which he's doing, but he's also released two boards for guns that are, 5 years old or older. He released one for the Alias, which if you guys saw at PSP Chicago, I was using an Alias and using the OLED board in. It's a bone stock Alias with the OLED board. It shot amazing. That board is awesome. That gun is amazing. And then now he just came out with the Tadao Yakuza board for the E1 or the E2. It's the OLED board, which the stock boards on here eat batteries like crazy, so I do expect this to be a lot more efficient. The reason why they eat batteries, you've got two solenoids in here. You've got the air solenoid that is cycling the gun and shooting the gun, and then you also have the pancake solenoid in here that's dropping the sear and shooting it. So you've actually got double solenoids and also the screen on the back. Huge battery drainer. The OLED board, I'm pretty sure, is going to give us a lot better battery life. So with that said about the Karnivor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera, bring it a little bit closer, and let's start installing the Tadao OLED Yakuza. All right, so let's get started. Now, I'm kind of excited because I've actually never done a board swap on a E1 or E2 frame before. So I tell you what, I wish they had this board in the 2004 World Cup. Well, it would have made my life a lot easier. So let's get inside here and let's see what we got. Let's go ahead and remove the battery. Out that goes. And let's see, so we got a couple ribbons here. Looks like we've got 3 Allen key heads. So let's start removing those. Now, in case you didn't know, the Karnivor and the E1 and the E2 board, they do use the micro switch. I'm sorry, not the micro switch, the optical. Would be kind of cool if they had a micro switch, but not that important. Now, this board doesn't really have a lot of value. The E1 board does not have a lot of value. So, in all actuality, I probably wouldn't even sell that board. What I would do is if I ever decided to sell this Karnivor, and I'm probably not going to because I really like this gun. If I ever do decide to sell it, what I'll probably do is I'll take the stock board and put it back into the gun, take my Tadao Yakuza board and sell it separately, and I bet I'd get a lot more money doing it that way than trying to sell this thing for $5 and trying to sell the gun with the Yakuza board in it. So now what I'm going to do is I just need to make a note of where the wires are at. The black and red wire is the plug on top. So let's go ahead and remove that. The double black wire is the one in the middle, and the 4 white wires are at the bottom. Now you got to be really careful taking this apart, okay? You always want to grab the wires by the connectors, okay? These connectors have a flange at the top of it that you can get your fingernails into and pinch it and pull it out. You do not want to rip these wires out. I don't know if they warranty these guns anymore. I don't know if there's any parts for these guns anymore. I mean, you're buying a gun that's 5 years old. You have to be very careful. And also, you need to be careful that you don't lose these little buttons. These little buttons that are in the back of the grip frame here, you need to make sure that these stay in place as well. I mean, anytime you're dealing with an older gun like this, boy, you got to be really careful not to lose any of the parts that are inside here. You're going to be in serious trouble. So, here we go. Now, this is the new board, and obviously it's got a screen protector here. So we'll go ahead and remove the screen protector. And like what I said, let's go ahead and put the wires back into place. The little black and red wire was up there at the very top. Now, these little connectors, they've got lines down the sides of them to tell you how to put them in there properly. So always double check to make sure that you're putting the connectors in properly. Do not want to bend any pins or destroy your connector. Just really be careful when you're taking these things and putting them back together. If something doesn't feel right, don't force it. There we go. And now let's go ahead and put in the last one, which is the 4 wires. Put that down there at the bottom. Now it does have, the OLED boards do have an RF harness. If you've got a loader that uses an RF harness, you can take this and plug it into it, like a Pulse or Magna or Prophecy. I just use a Pinocchio, so I'm not that sophisticated. And now the trick now is going to be lining up the holes. Now I am actually going to take this gun, one of the other shows I'm going to be doing, we are actually going to take this gun out there and we are going to play some X-ball with this baby. I promise you that. We're going to go kick it old school. Make sure we get the polarity right. Put the battery back in. Let's see if it turns on. Oh yeah. There we go. And it's even it's even got the classic red, which is the color that it was before. So there's the classic red. Really cool. So cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the grip frame back on this, take it outside, and let's shoot it. So we're in the backyard with the Karnivor. You know, we got the Tadao board. I'm such a nerd. I realized that the reason why the screen was red was because the little piece of plastic here on the back is red. So I'm just a moron. Excuse me. I'm sure some Karnivor owners. The LED screen's not red. Okay, that's my bad. But I think actually Will actually sells a clear one here. So you just pop this one out, put a clear one on here, and you'll see the white screen. But there's some really good paint here. Pinocchio hopper, filled up to 400 rounds. So I got it on NXL uncapped. So here's what we'll do. We'll just kind of shoot it out into the woods so you guys can see how well it shoots. Alright, so we got it set up on PSP 10 balls per second burst, so we'll just go ahead and shoot a hopper of paint here. There you go. So, shoots just fine. You know, we're not going to max out or go crazy here. 10.5 is as fast as I can shoot in PSP anyway. So, that's it. I mean, that's the Tadao Yakuza board for the Karnivor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up going out there and playing some X-ball with this. You know, it seems like all the Karnivor videos that I see on the internet are just people shooting trees like I just did there. But I'm actually going to take this out there on the X-ball field and we're going to have a good time with this gun.